Assalamualaikum, everybody, and welcome again to Halal in Travel Global Summit 2022. I'm Nurul, Curriculum Manager and Partner Engagement Lead at CrescentRating, and today's panel discussion is about the opportunities and challenges of developing talent in the post-COVID era. So we all know that people are at the heart of every organization. So without them, we wouldn't be able to, develop relationships, find out purpose, and also conduct our business. And in order for businesses to survive, we need to do our very best to ensure that their needs are met. And so today's panel discussion, we will be discussing, highlighting and sharing the challenges as well as opportunities in rebuilding the teams post pandemic. And I'm very delighted to introduce to you two panelists who are very skilled at managing people, and they are none other than Nandita Debur, Chief Human Resource Officer from Kuoni, Tumlare, as well as Sandeep Rai, Corporate Director of People Engagement, Shaza Hotels. How are you guys doing?
Very well, Nurul. Thank you.
Okay, so let's just begin. Maybe we shall start with having you guys give a short introduction about like what you guys do and how you manage people in your own organizations. Maybe you can start off with Nandita.
Sure, thanks. So, in my role as head of HR for Kuoni Tumlare, the JTB Europe Group, I'm responsible for the entire employee life cycle of all our employees. We have close to 1,300 employees spread across 33 countries in the globe, so truly global organization. And our endeavor is really now to improve and continue to delight our employees on their employee experience. My role in the company started actually the early 2021. Before that, I used to be in the global head of HR operations role, and I used to be based in Hong Kong. I'm now based in Zurich. I've been with the company for 9 years, journeyed through a variety of business models, ownerships, mergers and acquisitions. So it's been a very exciting journey with the group. The pandemic has taught us a lot, and we have actually evolved our HR offering through the pandemic. So I look forward to discussing this with yourself and Sandeep today.
Likewise. So you mentioned that you have 1,300, or is it 13,000
100,
employees
1300,
under
yeah.
you. What are the things that you find very important for, especially during the pandemic? Were the things that like, retrenchments, staff having to move around? What were the challenges that you had to face, and what are the things that you have done in order to overcome those challenges?
So, when it comes to the start of the pandemic, the initial challenges that we all faced were actually settling everybody into a remote working environment. That's where we started. We started with remote management curriculum, with communications. How do you communicate in this setting? Stay in touch with your managers and teams, etc. This was really the beginning of the pandemic. As it evolved, we needed to also transform, reorganize, restructure to stay in business really as a company because we were badly impacted by the pandemic. And so we went through a whole lot of transformation, and we did actually reduce a number of roles in the company. We supported our employees who were leaving us to actually get back into the workforce, and also look at their careers in a fresh perspective. Through the process, we were also able to start up an alumni network of people who left us. And in fact, some of them have even started coming back as boomerangs, you may call it. So that's been a bit of a journey. We also looked into our own identity and reset ourselves in terms of our brand identity, with new cultural values, with a new vision and mission. So we did a lot of deep thinking around who we are as an organization, what do we bring to our customers, suppliers, and employees, and that's been this journey through the last 2 years.
Thanks, Nandita. So, Sandeep, what about you? Is that the same thing for you in Shaza Hotels? And perhaps you can just also introduce yourself as well.
Sure. Thank you, Nurul. Hello, Nandita. Thank you for having me on this event. So happy to be here and interact with both of you. Uh, First off, let me introduce my company. I work for a company called Shaza Hotels Management Limited. We are a boutique hotel management company. We manage hotels essentially in the GCC region. We have hotels in Saudi Arabia, Oman, and UAE as of the moment. We do have huge ambitions to grow beyond these markets. What makes us different? Of course, there are many hotel management companies across the globe. What makes us different is Shaza is a brand which represents the cultures of the Silk Route. Uh, by saying Silk Route, it's the Arabian region and the, the ancient Silk Route countries, which spans all the way from uh, Turkey right across Central Asia till China. Uh, we seek to represent these cultures in our hotels in its true form, of course, in a more contemporary fashion, which makes it acceptable and welcoming to the travelers of today. I have been with this company since 2018. Uh, Before that, I was with a company from India called the Taj, where my last posting was in San Francisco, where I was overlooking learning and development and human resources. Um, Coming to your question on how we have evolved with the pandemic, as Nandita mentioned, hospitality is an extension of the travel business. And as most people know by now, hospitality was one of the hardest hit sectors uh, by the pandemic. We did try very hard to avoid or to postpone taking tough decisions. Uh, and of course, we did have to take a tough call with regards to letting go of people. And at all stages, what we saw is it's vital for us to stay true to our values as a company and not just having values as empty words on the walls, but something which is lived and practiced uh, by everyone from the board till the rank and file. For us, it was respect, engagement, even when it came to parting ways with our colleagues. We did take make it we did make it a very a respectful and a very mutual and amicable parting of ways. Like Kuoni, we also started something called the Shaza alumni during the pandemic, which helped us to maintain a very healthy level of engagement with colleagues who had moved on either during the pandemic or before. So it was an opportunity for us to connect with colleagues past and present uh, through this platform. uh, we activated new channels. We started off an internal opportunities newsletter, virtual and on paper, which helped to maintain or place people across our hotels, across borders. So we were very open to moving people between countries. We were helping in all ways, including travel, work authorizations. All of those was facilitated so that uh, the loss was as minimal as possible. Uh, so this is was our effort. We help people to find new opportunities, and in fact, recently we opened a new hotel in Medina, which was manned almost entirely by people who had moved on from the company. So that's a silver lining, and we see this trend growing from strength to strength in the days to come. Thank you.
That's amazing. I think I didn't realize that how, there's a similarity between the both of your organizations, that you have this alumni network. Because, usually when it comes to alumni network, it's always about schools and students, but really you guys have helped and created like this bond with your own employees and past employees, and that's really fantastic. So I just wanted to ask as well, since you sometimes have to make a tough call to let go certain people, and then the existing staff, do they have to take up more roles? And do you think then that great resignation, like people are very tired of working additional, longer hours just to fill up other people's shoes? Is that the case for the both of you?
So, if I may start, we actually did look at our business itself, and we did make a very conscious decision to stay in some lines of businesses and not in others. We also started introduced new products, new solutions that actually cater to the pandemic requirements. So, for example, we went virtual with a lot of our congresses. For example, we now have virtual and hybrid, mostly now coming to hybrid congresses. So, using technology, using almost a different skill set that our people picked up along the way, we are now running a very different type of solution that we did compared to what we did in the past. When it comes to our core business as well, we took a look at how we can bring in more products and solutions at the higher end. For example, bespoke private tours, which we've launched, which are much more effective in the current situation. So it was not just repurposing the same work with a lesser number of people, but more looking at how we do business, how we can improve our processes, how we can really upskill them on our systems, and so on. So efficiency was a key part as well.
Do you think that what was your experience like uh, ensuring that all the staff were reskilled, getting new skill sets in terms of technology? Certain people do not like change and they are very happy and content with what they are doing. So when you are giving them a new skill set, there's a, I don't want to do this. So do you face certain things like that, and how then do you manage?
We did do that. We did find that there were people who had to, for example, the virtual offerings had to be sold to a completely new set of customers, and also required a lot of new skills as well to do that. And here's where we looked at mainly people who are more agile, more adaptable, and actually use them as learning champions, um, and also did the trainer approach, where we picked people from within the groups who were obviously the first, let's say, the early adopters of the new ways of working, and that's how we spread then the reskilling through our organization.
It sounds like you really need to know your employees really well in order to pinpoint who will be suitable for the new role, for instance, like they start off. So, Sandeep, do you think that's also the case for you? Is there certain similar problems and challenges or opportunities in your area?
For us in the hospitality business, the pandemic presented opportunities as well as challenges. Uh, the challenge was we knew that one day travel is going to rebound, and it's happened. It's happening right now in the region. Uh, we were very focused that when this happens, we have to be ready. We have to be ready to meet the requirements, the demands of the customer, which is going to be vastly different from what it was pre-pandemic. The first thing which comes to everyone's mind is hygiene protocols, which are evolving. Every 2 months, you have a new set of protocols which come, and hospitality being a high touch point, high human contact business, we have to make sure that we get it correct first time, every time, because this impacts the reputation of the brand. And this is something where we spent a lot of time on using a hybrid model of training where we used online training solutions as well as shop floor training solutions, where we made sure that every person in every role is trained to deliver the level of hygiene, safety uh, to themselves as well as to our guests who would be visiting us. So this investment in training has paid off. Confidence in travel has returned. People are comfortable going to hotels, which wasn't the case when the situation hit us. So that's one. Another trend which is really picking up is cross training, training across functions, multi-skilling. Uh, because something which is the need of the hour is being smart in your manning, smart in terms of your numbers, because that's reflecting on the bottom line. So that's another big focus of hospitality companies is cross training, multi scaling, so that people are able to function effectively across roles. Uh, Within the parameters required. So that's something which is ongoing, and that's an opportunity we are leveraging so that our colleagues benefit from it and the business is able to contain in a sustainable manner.
I'm just wondering whether, other than employee training using technology for your site, Sandeep, are there any virtual experiences or digital experiences that you have adopted in your hotels for customers?
Uh, for customers, that's something which is an ongoing thing. For example, something we are currently working on, which would be available for our guests to experience, is a brand app. Uh, Apps are here to stay, and people are more comfortable interacting with an app, and they prefer an app for everything. And something which we wanted and we are working on, and at a very advanced stage of implementation, is having our own app where you could have the entire experience. You could curate your entire experience through the app in the hotel. It could be before you arrive, during your stay, and after you depart. It could mean everything from checking in, opening your door lock, to making a restaurant reservation or a spa reservation, or even booking an experience like a city tour or a cultural experience in the city through the app, making payments, and even once you depart, suppose you've forgotten something like your phone charger in the hotel, you could get back in touch with the hotel through the app and have your demands fulfilled through the app. So that's something which comes to mind since you mentioned technology. So this is a technology enabled solution we are working on right now, which will be available to customers uh, within the next few weeks at the latest,
Do
and we
you
are really excited and looking forward to it.
do you think that that app would then reduce like some form of like the workload of, the mundane tasks of the hoteliers?
Apps are would add to the experience. It would add convenience, and when people talk about luxury travel, people say the greatest luxury is time. So apps like this would help to make the best of your time, so you have more time to do what you like to do most, and spend less time interacting or in all the logistics part of your experience, and spend more time enjoying the experience. So that's where we see technology helping, is to make the best of your time, which is what the luxury traveler of today is looking out for.
Okay, so let's just move on to Nandita. Do you have any technology enabled? I think you mentioned a little bit. Could you explain more about what technology enabled items that you have in your company?
Sure. So some of the things that worked well through the pandemic are, for example, virtual technical visits. So we did pre-pandemic used to have specialist travel for technical visits to various industries, whether it be pharma, automotive, etc. Uh, Through the pandemic, when people couldn't travel, these were organized virtually. We did the same with educational tours as well, where students were able to actually have virtual visits into the educational institutes that they wanted to research into. So Educational and technical visits certainly were something which we were able to do virtually. And like I mentioned earlier, the congresses. So I think this is the hybrid congresses are here to stay, even going forward in 2022 when travel has opened up or even beyond. We feel that this will be an opportunity where large congresses will adopt this kind of virtual approach. So coming up, we have the WADA, the World Anti-Doping Congress. We have the EMDR Congress in Valencia. All of these are adopting this approach where there will be obviously people on site experiencing the Congress in person, but equally people dialing in. I think people are also mindful of their carbon footprint, their jet lag, and all of these type of topics. So definitely hybrid solutions in that regard are here to stay. We also looked at how we could use an online consulting approach for our Japan specialist business. So this is where travelers would actually first take a consultation session with our travel experts because we really pride ourselves on really knowing the destination. So they would actually take up this consultation session and then eventually make their journey plan based on the consultant's advice. So this was another technology enabled solution that we could provide.
Do you think in your company there is an opportunity for hybrid working environment for your employees, for instance? Because sometimes in the travel industry, it's a little bit hard because you'd have to be on site to manage certain things. How do you manage that? Because like I think there's a trend right now that employees are looking for work-life balance and work-life integration, making sure that they have the flexibility to be on site or at home, managing all the workload.
So I guess unlike Sandeep, where the experience is in a property, our workforce can very much be hybrid, and we can adopt the hybrid working or flexible working pattern, which is actually also one of our one of the benefits that we offer. We have also consciously reduced our office footprint, not so much in terms of where we are present in all the countries, but we have now more of a hot desking approach in our offices, so that the real estate investment is also maximized. And so we definitely the pandemic has accelerated this. In a lot of ways, we've made sure that employees have the right technology, that they're set up well in their environment, and also then the communication flow and the processes support this sort of hybrid working.
So when it comes to Sandeep now in the hotels, you have to be on site. Do you think that deters people from actually working in the hotels?
Uh, we do not have concrete data which I can share with you, which points to the fact that absence of remote working opportunities or partial remote working opportunities is keeping talent away from the industry. Uh, Having said that, looking at the new generation, the upcoming talent, the new generation which is entering the workforce, it might be useful to see what they look for in when they look for a career, when they seek a career. Having said that, there are there are roles which are available within hotels, within hospitality, which have the possibility of remote working, or at least totally or partially. There are functions within hotels like sales and marketing, um, development, PR, which offer such possibilities to talent which would like to come into the workforce. But to echo your words, overwhelmingly, hotels do require people to be on site. That's what the guests need, because the entire offering of a hotel is centered around people making sure you're comfortable. The whole spirit of hospitality is about welcoming and human interaction and being in a community. So there are changes, but it's the progress is still in baby steps rather than in great leaps and bounds.
Understand. So then how do you encourage and motivate your employees, especially since they are at the front line, and the pandemic, and even after that, there will be a travel surge, and maybe they would be overwhelmed at work. How do you then maintain the level of customer satisfaction just to ensure that the staff is able to provide the right quality of service to customers? Sandeep.
For us, it starts from the recruitment stage. When we recruit people for their attitude, people who love being with people, people who love being of service to people, people who love the human interaction. Uh, Hotel companies, leading hotel companies who are well known for their service, they keep it at the as one of the key requirements for any person they would recruit in a guest facing role. And of course, in a hotel, bulk of the staff of the manning is in guest facing roles. So when you are recruiting with this in mind, you know that people who are in your team, they love being on property, they love being on site, they love the human interaction, and such people would feel like a fish out of water if they're given a remote working role. Uh, and same work for our even our corporate office team, most of whom have worked in a hotel at some point in their lives. The 3 months into the lockdown, where we were working from home, people started saying, "When do we get back to the office? When do we see each other? When do we sit on our communal table for lunch?" That was the overwhelming, the 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 biggest, the single voice which came from everyone was, "We need to see each other." So the heart of hospitality is for people to be around people in the community, to be of help to people face to face. So when that's the soul of people, when that's the driving force, it becomes a lot more easier for us to call people back to work. And the focus of our human resource, what we call people engagement in Shaza, is maintaining that engaged sentiment within the workplace. So once we restarted, kicked off operations, uh, our focus was, on one hand, to have a continuous pulse on colleague sentiment through technology. We moved from a traditional engagement measurement tool to a more uh, on, on pulse continuous engagement feedback monitoring tool, which gives us a weekly or a monthly score on employee sentiment. We strengthened our engagement calendars on property, where we had a much more stronger, more robust engagement program, uh, which encourage people to come to work with their hearts, and not leave their hearts behind at home when they come to work. We introduce new programs like a house program, where every employee is assigned to a certain house across departments. So in a house called Generosity, the House of Generosity, you would have people from housekeepers to front desk agents to waiters, cross-functional people in one house competing in a soccer match, or competing in a table tennis match, or in a quiz contest. So this program was strengthened. Uh, and again, these were ongoing programs, which, of course, the end results which we strive to obtain from this was multi-pronged retention, higher levels of engagement, higher customer service scores. These were our objectives, which we are, of course, an ongoing effort to get there.
I absolutely love it. It's a whole entire family in Shaza Hotels. So now going back to Nandita, do you have certain things maybe you could share the initiatives that really motivate your employees?
Absolutely. So I think building on what Sandeep also described, this was an opportunity for us to reconnect in a different way and in a meaningful way with our employee population. Again, using the technology that we use for our customers, we started using it in house. So we also ran uh, a hybrid event which we did for our year end last year, where the entire globe actually joined. So, normally you can't have people joining an office party unless they travel. But in this case, it was really a global end of year party where we had our various things, including the talent show and a travel quiz and a lot of other exciting events for our people. They also had the live feed where they could send their photos, their comments, and they were able to participate in contests. So it was a great way for people to engage. Overall, we had the leadership speak at that event, and so on. And then currently, we are also running what we call our values in action program. So, like Sandeep mentioned, values shouldn't just be written up on the wall; they should become a part of our day-to-day life. Again, respect is one of our key values. The other one is partner focus, where we are focusing on employees, customers, and suppliers. And then we have grit as one of our values. This came about a lot in the pandemic, where people showed the passion for the business, for their customers, for the brand. We're at the moment running a global walking challenge. So again, using an app where people from around the world are in participating in teams of 10. So you have global mixed teams participating, different from different functions, from different parts of the world, and they have taken up a target of walking. It could be 6,000 steps per day, or it could be as high as 18,000 per person per day. And then these are all being logged through an app where people can see who's which team is on spot number one, etc. This goes on for a month, but this is an example of the part of our values and action program. So definitely these topics really help. We've also done a lot of from an employer branding point of view. We are featuring employee stories, so success stories within our company, how people have grown their careers, because it's really important for people to see that growth as well. So sharing that across and sharing it on social media is also a recognition culture. And we continue our recognition programs. So we haven't stopped any of those good programs that we had pre-pandemic. So those continue as well. So there's a lot of, I suppose, a lot of thought and investment around the employee engagement topic. Also ongoing at the moment is an employee for employee program. So people are using, again, a technology like Teams, very easy to use, where they're sharing their hobbies and running online classes for employees across the world. So, from hatha yoga to painting Easter eggs to decoupage to a running club, we are actually doing all this virtually, and it's done, employees for employees. So a whole bunch of good stuff there. And then with the focus on wellness, we ran as well a destination wellness program where people set some goals around mind, body, and soul wellness. And then they were sharing their journeys, again, using the Teams platform of how they are progressing. So if it meant learning to play an instrument or painting, or somebody wanted to build a pizza oven. So, all these type of goals that people set themselves were all being shared. And I think the connection is super important for an industry like ours. The connection between people is really important, and this is what we still want to do, despite the fact that people might not be able to travel and might not be able to meet every colleague in person.
Yeah, it seems like, even though we have been locked down and isolated from each other for probably like 2 years now, and maybe employee motivation has gone down, but it seems like we have all come out stronger together, and we have found like a way to connect each other, not just restricted by our own geographical boundaries. And I feel that I agree with both of you that it will continue into the future, that there will be certain hybrid ways that we can connect with our colleagues overseas, and so that we all in like one big family can strive to uplift each other. So since our time is running out, like I have like one last final question. What are the things that you would look at to attract new talent, especially since the recent graduates would probably think the travel industry is a sunset industry, perhaps?
Yeah, so I think the topics, I think it's important that as a company, we continue to innovate on our products and solutions. And I think in some ways, the roles that we can offer will already be the real factor behind people joining the industry. I would like to talk about our partnerships that we have recently signed up. So, example with Swiss Tourism, Kuoni Tumlare is partnered with Swiss Tourism on the sustainable travel solutions called Swiss Sustainability. And when we have these type of products that are, offered to our customers, employees as well identify with it, particularly the millennials, particularly Gen Z. So what you do as a company and how you actually live out your values matters to employees joining you. So using that as one of the cornerstones. The other one is really developing our leaders, our managers, because again, employees come to work for their manager in a lot of ways. So making sure that we have good leadership practices, an inclusive culture, and a diverse workforce. I think this is again an important part of what we can bring to a potential employee. And then also development. So continuously giving people opportunities to develop their skill sets and grow within the company. Um, we've continued to use our learning online learning management system to put learning at the fingertips of employees. So it's a very Netflix like approach where you choose what you want to learn, and then of course our system throws up more opportunities for you to learn in that area. So continuously giving such opportunities as well supports their journey in the organization.
Thanks, Nandita. How about Sandeep?
Coming back to your question, where you mentioned that mm, travel, more specifically hospitality, is seen as a not so attractive industry. Uh, just like to put this in perspective, because this sentiment towards a career in travel, or more specifically hospitality, it's something, the perspective varies from region to region. Having worked in the US for a few years, there it was a very strong sentiment where hospitality, a job in hospitality, was seen as a stepping stone, where you would work in hospitality for a few years, you would study on the side, and then go on to a different career, either sales and marketing or medicine, or uh, likewise. We are lucky operating in GCC and Asia, where this sentiment is not so strong. Having said that, it's still important to present hospitality as an attractive career option, a winning career option, regardless of where you are. And the responsibility of building this sentiment lies on employers like us. And this is where steps like what Nandita mentioned, employer branding, sharing stories of winning careers within your company, uh, and it's our responsibility as an employer to make sure that we have a development plan for most of your employees. Of course, there would be your appraisal system would throw up statistics, but it's our responsibility, and we cannot run away from it. every employee in our company should have a development plan scripted, which should be driven by the human resource department and their own supervisors. And when this happens, when people see there is growth, this is an employer, this is an industry where I can grow, uh, it would naturally end up being a preferred or something which would be looked up to with respect, and something which would be seen as an aspiration for today's generation and the forthcoming generations of tomorrow.
Thanks, Sandeep. So I think we are all out of time. So thank you, Sandeep, as well as Nandita, for sharing a lot about how you do manage your own employees and staff under you. And thanks again for sharing. I think we all have learned something, and maybe gives us an idea of what we ourselves can do to take care of each other and uplift each other in times of need. So thank you once again for everybody for tuning in to today's panel discussion, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.